enemy surrounds Elisha and his servant. This is in the Old Testament. And long story short, all you need to know is that a bad guy was coming after Elisha and his servant. He got up early the next morning and went outside, and there were troops, horses, and enemy chariots everywhere. So Elisha's servant said this, "Oh, sir, what will we do now?" The young man cried to Elisha. Then Elisha replied, "Don't be afraid, for there are more on our side than there are on theirs." Then Elisha prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes and let him see." The Lord opened the young man's eyes, and when he looked up, he saw that the hillside around Elisha was filled with God's angelic army of horses and chariots of fire. Watch what Elisha prays for. Was the servant fearful of an army? Yes or no? Okay. Was the army truly surrounding them? Yes or no? Was the servant of Elisha filled with fear? Yes or no? Did Elisha pray for his servant for him to not have fear? Yes or no? No. Elisha prayed for his servant to see. He prayed for his servant to see what he saw. Because in God's kingdom, what you see will directly influence what you fear. And what you fear will ultimately influence your emotional posture and how you approach life and problems around you. So Elisha had the wisdom and the knowledge to say, my servant, he's fearful because he sees all this. But what we can be tempted to do when we struggle with fear or whatever it might be, we'll say, I pray that God cast out fear from you. And I'm not saying that's not a thing. There are places for that. But often I think the better prayer to pray isn't, Lord, free us from fear. The better prayer to pray is, God, help us to see what you see. Because when you see what God sees, fear doesn't have a place to stand. Because your fear is completely subjective and related to what you see. Fear stands on the shoulders of vision. Fear stands on the shoulders of sight. And so we have to be able to see what God sees. And then this affects our faith. The servant's faith was then grown.